Hey everyone, welcome back to Paper Therapy with Amy. Today I want to teach you a little bit about choosing photos and how I make my decisions. So I like to think of these photos as the plot of the story that I'm trying to tell. So let's pretend we're in language arts class, and if you didn't like language arts or English class, I'm sorry. I did actually like it, so I wasn't the math girl, even though I have to do math with scrapbooking. But this is my plot. So we went to see this one lone tree. This is in Monteray, by the way. We ate chicken in the car from a grocery store. I found, I can't think what it's called right now, but the shell. We saw lots of sea life, and my husband wanted to go and see this house that was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. So those are the things that we did. And then I have some supporting photos. So they're right here. Here's the mailboxes from by these houses here. And then this is a loop drive that you can do. And after that loop drive, we drove past this monastery. So those are a couple of supporting photos. They're side plots. So this is the plot, and here's a bit of a side plot or a supporting plot. And then I have like a mini plot at the end. Like this just enhances the story a little bit. This beach fence was really cool. It was along the highway when we drove the highway there. I forget what that road is called, but I'll have to look it up for my journaling. And then these little crabs that were between the cracks in the rocks, and one more starfish that's kind of bent. He's kind of sitting bent so that he can hide. They're so cool how they just can get in such small spaces because they have no bones. So if you think of the story like that, if you think, here's the plot, here's a bit of a subplot, and here's some supporting characters or supporting facts that help tell the story completely. That's how I decide to choose my photos and what size I'm going to make them. Now, if I had a lot of photos, I would probably just print them all this size, because then I would think to myself, that's the plot. The plot is just going to it's going to be bigger. It's going to have more, it's going to be more robust, and it's going to have more details. But one of the reasons I decided that I could definitely print these in big. First of all, I really like how these two pictures turned out. They're really nice pictures, even though my husband's eating chicken, but I really wanted these to be full-sized. Second of all, this one here has a lot of dead space here, and actually this one does up here as well. I'm not sure if I'll cut some of that off, but I'll definitely cut some of this off, and then they can go in line with these. It can go in line with these because it'll be the same size if I make it a square, which is really nice to continue your lines on your layout. That really makes your layout look cohesive. So I'm going to bring in some white paper to start with, and I'm going to start thinking about how I'm going to lay this layout out. So the next thing I'm going to do is try to lay out these pictures in a way that's pleasing to me. So I am starting with these two in the center. I really always gravitate to a cluster layout where all the photos are kind of pushed towards the middle of the layout, or the two layouts, I guess. That's what I naturally gravitate towards, but I will just start to play around and shift things around like a puzzle until they kind of fall into place. You'll notice that I cut a couple more of the pictures down into squares. I didn't feel like I needed to show quite so much of the beach on that picture of my husband looking at the Frank Lloyd Wright house. And so I'm thinking I'm going to have a linear line across the bottom here with paper in the background. I really wanted to work this paper in. This is one of the papers from the basket weave papers. I can't remember what they're called. Textured, something about textured. And I really wanted to work it in, and it stays in there for a bit, but I don't end up using it. It just didn't work for me. It just didn't make me happy. And if it doesn't make you happy, you should throw it off your layout and choose something that does make you happy. What really makes me happy is the Otterly Adorable paper, and it is on the clearance rack right now for $6.80 in Canada, so that is a steal of a deal. I love all the B-sides, and I'm gonna try and work that paper into this layout. And my goal is, because I have so many horizontal lines, is I want to add a vertical line in here as well to help break things up a little bit. I wanted to bring in some peach or pink, so I was trying to work with some papers that I had left over from something else there, but I end up bringing in the back side of this Calypso coral, and I really like how that looks with my pictures. You can see I've also done some rearranging of the pictures, and I like them on a white mat, so I'm going to put them all, there you go, they got switched over to a white mat, and I'm going to add some of this Country Woods paper. What's nice about the Country Woods paper is this blue is technically not in the Otterly Adorable papers, but it is close enough because there is so many blues in the Otterly Adorable, and because the wood grain is textured looking, it's really okay. So I always let my layouts kind of evolve, and as I shifted them around, I discovered that I liked them a lot better on a grid style on the right hand side there, and then just having those two pictures of my husband and me on the left that are kind of my focal point pictures. And so because it made me so in my craft room, I have sorted all of my sort of single sheets of paper that really don't belong to one package into different categories. And this is my colored papers. So I went rooting through here trying to find something else to put with this layout. And I came across this sheet that I got at a scrapbook event that I went to one time and bought on sale. I thought about including this green paper as well, but I did choose not to. But I thought that this beachy shell paper with the little sayings on the other side matched quite well. So I'm going to bring some of the shell side in, and then I'm going to bring some of the beachy sayings from the other side in as title and subtitle. I wanted to do some stamping in the background on that white paper, and I do actually do that. I believe I cut all of that out because I don't end up using it. I end up changing up the background there and removing those white pieces altogether. I pulled them out and I just liked it so much better. So I decided, you know what, if I like it better, I should just go with it. I've sort of left some of this arranging in here simply because I want you to see how I piece these pieces together, and I don't double up on so much paper because there's no need for that Calypso coral piece to go all the way behind there because you're not going to see it anyway. Now, if you're super savvy in your paper layering, you should be able to see a mistake. You can actually still see it now with my mat on top here. You should be able to see a mistake in the layering. So at the end of the video, I'll tell you what that mistake is, but see if you can see something that doesn't quite make sense in the way I layered my papers. So here I'm using a few blending brushes just to give some shading to these coral pieces and to give some shading to these little shells. I cut them out in different colors of paper so that they would go well on the page. So once I get them shaded a little bit, I'm going to add them to the page in embellishment clusters. The shells that I'm shading right now came from my Close to My Heart stash. I got them years ago, and any shells would do. You could even cut shells out of paper if you wanted to. This is some Close to My Heart White Daisy, I believe. It's more of a pigmented, or it is a pigmented ink. And I'm just adding a little bit of that to the bottom of these shells to give them like a bit of a whitewash so that they have a little extra shading yet. We spent a few days in Monterey before we headed to Napa Valley for a retreat that my husband was going on. And we really enjoyed beachcombing and checking out all the different things on the beach. It was January, but it was beautiful weather there. And it was just fun to look through all the tide pools, and we did some drives. We drove, there's like a loop drive that you can do and you have to pay. It's a toll road, and that's when we saw that lone tree. And I do have another layout to do from a park, Lost Something Park, that we hung out in. I will give you the name of that when I do that layout. So here I'm going to start to do a little bit of arranging, and I've cut out that word adventure that I'm going to use as a title there. And I just want to have this little saying here to the left of my husband's picture. I'd like to have that nestled among some coral and some shells, just like it's a little sign sitting on the beach. Sometimes with these brighter colors like Calypso Coral, I really am excited to have the back side of the paper be lighter because I just really like this color a lot better when I use the back and it's a little bit toned down. And I have that with yellows and other shades as well. I'm just gluing these down with the Barely Art glue, and I have a few more little sayings on the right hand side that I cut from that sheet of paper. And I just noticed as I'm voicing this over that I see that the background white paper has disappeared. I think that was gone right after I was creating my shells, but I pulled those pieces of paper out to do something with them, and then I looked back at my layout and realized I liked it way better with just the green in the background. And in the fish, there is this shade of green, and there was a few pictures with green in them, and I just really thought, this looks good. I like it this way. So I went with it. I also added a tiny bit of blue scallop to the top of the fish paper just to finish it off and to add a little bit more of that sort of navy blue around the page. The word adventure was a die cut I had in my stash, and this anchor came from the back side of that shell paper where all those little sayings were. There was also squares. You can see the crab up in the right, and then there was this anchor, and I decided to fussy cut it out, and I thought it would look nice under the word adventure, just tucked into that cluster there. I felt like that background needed just a little something. I had some Dina Wakley gloss spray. It's a pigmented spray in white, and I added a little bit of a blue re-anchor to it and gave it this blue shade, and I splattered it on the page. It kind of represents water to me, and it just does a little something more for those embellishment clusters. So did you spot my little layering mistake? Well, that Calypso Coral paper is going behind the blue paper on the right side, but on the left side, it's on top of the blue paper. I don't know if it bothers me enough to pull it apart, but we'll see. I'll let you know down the road if I left it or not. I want to thank everyone for tuning into my channel once again. I really appreciate each and every one of you that watches. I hope you're inspired. I hope you'll hit that thumbs up button, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. If you need some more inspiration for beachy layouts, then check out this video that'll come up on the screen right now. Bye.